Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Just Kicking It. We seem pretty low on the screen right now.
Like Germany's World Cup chances.
Their World Cup hopes, their chances is gone. Completely gone. So let's get over the jokes from yesterday. Today was, I thought, going to be an exciting day in World Cup action. There was a match between Belgium and England to decide who finishes first in Group G. Rodney, did that match live up to your expectations?
That was a meandering kind of story because yesterday, for those of you who were with us yesterday would remember, Ryan and I were talking about our game. We were talking about England and Belgium playing for that first spot or second spot in this case. Ryan expected them to win. I told him no, Belgium was going to win. Now Belgium did win and I was right, but I was also... It was a prediction based on things that didn't happen actually, because both Belgium and England they fielded B-sides to say.
Well, we call them B-sides. Basically, the bench took over in these games for both sides. Of course, in both instances, both captains rested. Eden Hazard was not in the game at all.
De Bruyne neither.
Exactly.
Actually, the entire Belgium
and for
team.
England, Harry Kane was not there. So the armbands, first of all, went to different players. And I think, aside from a handful of field players as well as the keepers, the entire sides, both of them were changed.
I think it was about 8 changes for each team. But it goes to show the depth of both England and Belgium, because those players that play today would walk into most teams, first teams, they would, because
maybe they could have walked into the German team.
No, don't say that. Germany had some.
It's a joke. If I don't make jokes about it, I will probably start feeling a lot sadder. Exactly.
Germany has a good team on paper. They just didn't click at the right time.
Right, so let's look at the stats, Rodney. Of course, Belgium had a goal courtesy, and I was saying this to Rai just before he left. Unfortunately, he had to leave before this video. I told him it was basically teammates playing against teammates, because a lot of the Belgian players play in the English Premier League, and the scorer was a Manchester United man.
Januzaj, yeah.
Yes.
Now, Adnan Januzaj is such a, I wouldn't say queer, but he's such a unique player, because he started off in Manchester United as a teenage sensation, a teenage prodigy. He kind of fell off the radar, and on the international scale, he had the option of playing for 4 different countries, I believe. Belgium, obviously, Spain, and England as well, and another country.
He's a global player.
Yeah, but he chose Belgium, and it was interesting that he did, because he chose Belgium at a time where Belgium had these stars, and to break into that starting 11 was pretty difficult, but he did, and he started today, he scored, and kudos to him.
Yes, well, Belgium, across the board, they just had the better showing today. They had 54% possession, 14 shots, 4 of which were on target, meaning 4 of those shots challenged the keeper to either make a save or went into the goal. In England's case, 46% possession, 11 shots, 2 on target. Now, I got the sense that, a lot of the players, because they were on the bench for the tournament so far, they may have wanted to stake a claim in the starting 11. A difficult thing to do given the results that these teams had in those first 2 games. I think the concern was to make sure that the players that gave them that lead 6 points after 2 games in both instances were not, I guess, put at risk for the knockout stages, because in the knockout stages you can't take any chances. I know a lot of Belgian players were on yellow cards, so they couldn't afford to pick up a second yellow in this game.
Well, that's the thing, right? And this game, it was basically the bench playing against the bench mostly, as we said. But it's so different because the bench of Belgium and, interestingly enough, the bench of England are actually first team players. They could have made the side, but they just didn't. The first team, that is. And players like Gary Cahill, Dyer, they play for their teams, their club teams, that is. They play as a first team player, the first 11. So it's pretty deep how much players Belgium has, as well as how much players England have. But the other thing is, you rightly said, with regard to those first team players, they were rested either because of injury, not so much severe
not
injuries.
Not followed injuries, but they didn't want to take the risk of having them injured.
Lukaku wasn't going to play today because of that. Lukaku is the star man for Belgium in terms of goal scorer.
Plays for Manchester United, playing against fellow teammates.
Exactly. And I told you all this yesterday as well. It's players, teammates against teammates, and EPL players against Premier League players against each other. But it's also they're so familiar. And I was referring to the first team of England playing against the first team of Belgium. And the B-side is the same thing, because Gary Cahill is an English defender, he's also a Chelsea defender, and it can go on and on. So they are so familiar with each other, and I expected Belgium's first team, if they started, to beat England's first team. When I saw the lineups this morning, I was kind of skeptical. And I think
How did it work out for your fantasy team though? He's playing fantasy football right now?
I have Lukaku and Hazard on my side.
Was any your captain?
No, I knew they weren't going to play. I put Colombia's player. We'll get to that. But I put Colombia's player as my captain.
Okay, so just just going on to the dead rubber game in this particular group, Panama, Tunisia, both had no chance of advancing since they were both on 0 points after their 2 games. Well, Tunisia beat Panama 2-1, and they actually scored all the goals in this game. The first goal for Panama was an own goal, and then there came 2 other goals in the 51st and 66th minute. That gave Tunisia sort of, a small redemption in terms of their World Cup campaign. They were able to at least get some points and not finish last on the table, which is, something nobody wants. But Costa Rica, I mean, even though this was not a goal credited to a player of theirs, they did get 1 goal in their match against England. This is their first ever World Cup campaign, so I think it's definitely a learning experience for them. I should mention their goal difference at the end of this tournament is actually -9, because they conceded 6 against England alone.
Well, so yesterday I said it as well when Ryan and I were analysing. I said that Tunisia is going to comfortably beat Panama. And the reason for that is Tunisia has the winning mentality, will have a qualifying mentality at least. When you think about African teams, you may not think about Tunisia, you might think about Nigeria and Ghana and Senegal and stuff. But Tunisia actually qualified for the World Cup in 2002 and 2006, and the only African team to do so in those 2 World Cups. They came back after a long hiatus this World Cup, and I expected them to beat them convincingly. 2-1 may not sound convincing on paper, but it was an own goal.
Well, the stats tell a story as well. Tunisia 70% possession, 14 shots, 6 on target.
That's what I expected.
Panama had their fair share. They only had 30%, but they did have 9 shots and 4 on target. So they were in the game to a certain extent, but I mean, having the ball obviously allows a team to set the tempo for a game. And I think Tunisia just kind of, they were just too good for Panama on the day. Panama, of course, would have liked to come away with some sort of point, seeing it's their first World Cup. We, as Trinidad and Tobago in 2006, did manage to get a point, but hopefully they'll qualify another day and get some more points.
Yeah. But this game played out as I expected. So.
Yes. Okay, so moving on now to the table at the end of this particular set of matches. Of course, England went into the game day on top of the table because of their fair play. They had less yellow cards than Belgium. They weren't separated by head-to-head because there wasn't a head-to-head yet to separate them. So with the result, Belgium leapfrogs England into first place. They have 9 points from their 3 games. England second, Tunisia moved to third, and Panama remains last. Now, Group H matches were played at 10 a.m. this morning simultaneously. There was Senegal versus Colombia, and then Japan versus Poland. Now, Poland eliminated already, managed redemption as well. They won their game 1-0, but there was questionable play from the Japanese in this instance. Now, the Senegal-Colombia game finished 1-0 in favor of Colombia. Yerry Mina, 74th minute goal. That's his 2nd goal for the tournament so far. And
he's a defender, by the way.
Yes, 2nd goal for the World Cup so far. And Japan, they conceded that goal to Poland, but Japan knew that with the result as it was, 1-0, they were down 1-0, but with Senegal also down 1-0, they knew that yellow cards would be the thing separating them from a place in the World Cup and going home. Now, the reason why is because when Japan played Senegal, their match ended 2-2. So they were tied on goal difference. They were tied in the head-to-head. The thing that would be used to separate them was yellow cards. And according to reports, a message was sent out to the players, the Japanese players in the field, telling them to take no risks and to concede no yellow cards. So that brings to mind, I did my research, it brings to mind a game in the 1982 World Cup in, well, I can't remember where that was. 82? Italy, right. West Germany playing Austria. They went into that game, West Germany went into that game knowing, because at that time the games were still played at different times. They went into that game knowing that 1-0 would send them and Austria through at the expense of Algeria, at the expense of Algeria. So what they did, they played the game in such a manner that is exactly how it ended up. There were allegations of match fixing, never proven. The tournament went on as usual. But because of how that game ended, that's when they actually started to play the final round of group matches at the exact same time in order to minimize the possibility of, now it's impossible to, have teams not knowing what goes on in the other matches at all. At least it reduces the risk of match fixing to a point. But of course, the Japanese bench and their managers and the coaches and so on, they were all following that next game. And the Japanese decided to gamble on not taking any risk at all and not conceding yellow cards. So Japan advanced ahead of Senegal based on yellow cards because they were tied across the board after these rounds of matches.
Well, to backtrack a little bit for the benefit of those who may not be following how it works. So each group, the top 2 teams qualify, in case you don't know. So the top 2 teams will qualify based on points. They get points for victories and draws, right?
We have the table there.
Right. So at the end of this one, Colombia, they've won 2 of their 3 games. They end up on 6 points. Japan and Senegal both end up on 4 points because they've won a game, they've drawn a game. So that's 4 points.
And they both lost their games.
Right. So how do you separate Japan and Senegal? Only one team will accompany Colombia. So you look at goal difference. That would be goals scored minus goals conceded. Both of their goal differences are 0.
Exactly the
so
same.
What do you do next? How do you separate them again? Well, you look at the head-to-head, meaning when Japan played Senegal, what happened? It was 2-all. So again, it's tied across the board. So that's where the disciplinary record moves in.
Yes.
And you have yellow cards.
That is what separated both teams today.
So that is kind of unfortunate.
Yes.
But
Japan had 4 yellow cards, Senegal had 6.
That's how the rules are. And congrats to Japan. They did well. I'm so sad for Senegal though. No African team qualified for the round of 16.
They were all knocked out today.
That would be Tunisia, Senegal, Nigeria. Help me. There are 2 more teams. We'll remember that later on. but no teams qualified. Egypt is another, and
Morocco?
And Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Right.
So those were the 5 teams, and none of them qualified. Pretty sad because African football has elevated itself over the last couple of years. It's a kind of unique football. They're very fit to say the least, but they didn't. And on the other side of things, CONMEBOL, South America, only one team didn't qualify, and that would be Peru.
Well, CONCACAF, we do have a representative in there.
But in South America, in CONMEBOL, every team qualified beside Peru. That would be Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and the other one that I can't remember. Right?
Well, that
Colombia.
moves us into the matches, of course, with this round of matches. These 2 groups today, the winners, first and second, will take on the first and second in the other group. So it ended up being England versus... I'm trying
Japan.
to remember. Yeah, no, England is going to play Colombia. Because England finished second in their group,
right,
Colombia
so Japan
finished
will be
first,
playing Belgium.
and Japan will be playing Belgium. Now, it's the knockout stage. I was talking with Raya about who would want to face who, because I normally would think no one wants to come up against Colombia. Usually Colombia is seen as a tougher team compared to Japan, but Japan, of course, did beat Colombia in the first game that group had in the World Cup. So I think so far we know, don't ever write off anybody in this World Cup yet. They could surprise you. Japan, even though they lost today, they had a pretty decent showing, and they do have star players who can come through at just the right time. So, and even though they're ranked 61st, they're definitely making a name for themselves all over again because they've done so in the past. They have quality.
Well, all credit to Colombia though. I think they're now starting to click. Today's game, they won't have their best, but I think Colombia will give a hard fight. But Japan I think Japan did well too as a small team. The only small team to really not show up in the World Cup, at least what I can remember, is Panama. Every other team
I think
gave a
Egypt
fight.
performed a little bit below my expectation as
They did,
well.
but they still showed fight. Panama kind of got pushed over. I think that's because they're not experienced in the World Cup and such.
Yeah, the first World Cup ever. It's
But
a huge
there were some
thing.
teams that I thought would have not done too well. Saudi Arabia being one of them, and Saudi Arabia won a game. They won their last game. So it's a very competitive World Cup. Round of 16 starts on Saturday.
Okay, so we have 1 day rest and relaxation. I don't know how much relaxation
much
the
I'm
players
gonna
players are going to get.
Hopefully I'll survive on that day. No football, I don't know what I'm going to do.
You can listen to one or three.
Life has no meaning on
Yes,
that day.
so Saturday, the first game on the agenda, France versus Argentina, then it's Uruguay versus Portugal. Sunday, Spain versus Russia, then Croatia versus Denmark. Monday, Brazil versus Mexico, then
Japan would play in Japan came second in their group, so they would be playing Belgium. Yeah.
But just so you can see, I actually have it blanked out. I haven't filled it in just yet, so we have the dots.
She said she did her homework. Clearly, she didn't finish the blanks. But yes,
Well,
Japan
then,
will be playing Belgium,
yes.
and Colombia will be playing England.
Right, then Sweden versus Switzerland and Colombia versus England. Those games to be played on Tuesday. So everything is racing through my head right now. As I was calling on these games, the first thing I'm thinking is to ask you, which game do you think will be the most exciting in this entire lineup here?
To be honest, exciting in terms of competitiveness, in terms of
In terms of which do you expect to be maybe the closest, the most competitive?
Uruguay versus Portugal will be a very competitive game. Portugal doesn't get enough credit apart from Cristiano Ronaldo. They won the Euros just 2 years ago, 2016. They won the Euro Cup.
Defending Euro champions. Now, of course, Spain were defending Euro champions when they went into the 2010 World Cup.
Yes. And that's the thing, right? They won that Euro final without Cristiano Ronaldo. Portugal has a really good side. One of the guys who I was happy to see come back into the team was Quaresma. He scored in the last game, if I'm not mistaken. Quaresma was on the fringes for quite a while. Quaresma is there. They have Moutinho, I think, is still on the side. The defenders as well. The keeper is Rui Patricio. He's a pretty good goalkeeper. Defensive-wise, there's this guy from Southampton. His name escapes me. I always have him on my EPL side, my fantasy EPL side.
Font?
No, well, Font is right up there. But there's another guy, Cedric Suarez. He's also a pretty good defender. So I think they're solid as a player, as a team. They create chances, which gives Ronaldo the chances to score. With all credit to him, he also has this leadership quality about him that you could see. Portugal is a team. They're beaming from their victory in 2016 as a Euro champion. Of course, that would hold some credit to them and some merit as well. But they would be a team to beat. Uruguay is also a fortress in the back. When
People
it comes
forget
to
that
defense.
Uruguay are two-time world champions. They won the
Well,
World
that
Cup
was
title twice.
60
It was
years
a while
ago.
ago, but you can't. You know that sort of record always inspires players.
They have a pedigree,
it's something.
yes.
It's something to live up to in the future, and I always think those kind of things inspire the future generations. So
They will.
Uruguay know that we have two stars. Let's add one more. We've done it before. Why can't we do it again?
I agree, but even more so, credit to the Uruguay team in the World Cup right now. We have Cavani, we have Baitaman, Mr. Suarez, we have.
He hasn't bitten anybody in a while.
Yeah, he really not alone.
Yes.
But their defense with
Well,
Godin,
that we know of.
right? Yeah. Their defense with Godin.
But Godin is a I don't want to call him an old player, but he is an aging sportsman.
He is, but I think that he has a lot to offer in this World Cup. Even I can't even pronounce this guy's name. I heard the commentator calling him some other name, but it's spelled Caceres. How do you pronounce that?
Caceres.
Well, something like that.
I know who you're speaking of. Yeah.
He's also a defender.
Martin Caceres.
Their team itself is gelling. Their defense is going to be pretty difficult to beat. So Portugal, Uruguay is going to be a very competitive game.
Now, I was actually watching France versus Argentina. Now, before this World Cup started, I know I'm a German fan, but I thought, looking at the squads on paper, France, Brazil, and who's the next team?
Favorites?
England were actually, on paper, some of the strongest squads. They had some of the
England
strongest
always has a
squads.
strong squad.
Yeah, they always technically no, but this squad is different. I thought they had the right mix of age, experience, and young talent. I love Dele Alli. I love Jesse Lingard as well. I think they're very
I
talented.
professed that this morning.
Yes, I did. And
Call the team
I thought
England.
Firmino had a fantastic season, at least in Europe and in England. I don't think he's actually started for Brazil in this World Cup yet.
No, he hasn't.
Exactly.
He hasn't.
And we've seen Brazil struggle a little bit because of it. But France as well. I always thought if Paul Pogba came into his own and really took command of his position on the field, that France would go a long way.
Well, not only that, France has a formidable defense. France has an all-round team. And the thing about winning a World Cup, you need to have, apart from attacking prowess, you need to have a good defense. And most of the teams in the last decade and a half or so that I could remember, they've won
backed on
World
defense,
Cups
yes.
not just on scoring goals, but on a fortress of defense. Brazil gave away 1 goal or 2 goals in their title winning in 2002. Italy, the only goal they ever gave out in 2006 when they won was Zidane's penalty in the final. in 2010 when Spain won, it's the
Spain,
same thing.
yes.
So what I'm saying
Germany as well.
yes,
Last 4 years.
I don't think any team has won a World Cup in the last 2 decades or so by giving up more than 4 goals in the entire game, in the entire competition. So you need to have a solid defense to back up your strike squad, and France has that. France is a team with a good defense. I thought Germany had a decent defense as well. They don't have any defense, no defense of their title.
And I thought in terms of the German lineup, I personally thought there were some questionable inclusions on the field as opposed to who's on the bench.
We all
and
did.
then the back line changed for all 3 games as well. So the team itself, and of course there was apparently a fight in training before the World Cup even started. So that team seemed a little bit unsettled from the get-go.
But on paper they were good. On
paper they were good,
doesn't
but
matter.
something wasn't gelling even before the World Cup started.
But Sarah, who do you think is the team to beat in this World Cup? Who do you think is going to take it? Or is it too early to call?
I was speaking with another friend. These days, all I'm talking about with anybody is the World Cup. A friend of mine, he is an Italian supporter. He has nobody to support. So he is looking at the teams objectively, and he thinks Croatia has a good chance
Of winning.
of winning the World Cup.
But did he try to justify why?
Yes, Luka Modric.
So one.
Okay, no, that's not the whole argument, but that is a big part of the argument.
Yeah.
But they've had solid performances as well.
Well, when Croatia beat Argentina, it was due to Argentina's lack of quality, but it was more so because of Croatia's having quality. And a lot of people who may not be too in depth with it wouldn't realize that Croatia is a pretty strong squad. And I've looked at Croatia's team. They've got Mandzukic, they've got Lovren, is it?
Lovren,
right?
they
They've got
have
Lovren.
Perisic, they have
Perisic,
Modric.
Rakitic, Modric, all of the H's. And the thing is, they've done
That's a joke we all make without even thinking
I wasn't-
about it.
I
I
wasn't-
made that exact same joke a couple episodes ago. Exact.
I
all
wouldn't
the
consider that
ages.
my best work, but okay.
Whatever.
So
I'm funny.
So the thing is, we've had Croatia showing up on the day. Names don't win competitions. Teams do.
Very
And-
true.
But the thing is, Croatia is not a small team. They
They're
may
not.
not have won much, but back in '98,
They came third.
They came third.
Yeah.
And that was on the back of Davos Suka's winning
Golden
the
boot.
Golden Boot, exactly.
Yes.
But that is one player. So I think Croatia will do well, but I honestly think the team to beat in this World Cup, not Argentina. Argentina may do well, but the team to beat in this World Cup is Belgium.
What about Brazil versus Mexico? Mexico, the lone CONCACAF representative in this knockout stage. I mean, as a CONCACAF team, I would love to see Mexico go far. I always
We will all
remember
do.
Marquez and when he now started, and I loved him as a player. Of course, he played in this World Cup. He is one of a handful of players to feature in more than 3 World Cups. I think he was in 4
This
so
is his
far.
4th World Cup.
Yes, and he was captain for 3 of the World Cups.
I
Because
think-
when he came on, he took the armband actually.
I
so.
think that Mexico, they peaked in that game with Germany. And on that day, on that performance could beat any team, I think. However, I'm not too sure. I think Mexico is being a little unsettled. Losing 3-0 to Sweden
Yes.
is a big deal. Mexico would be familiar with the South American style of play, though. Mexico is a giant in CONCACAF. I think they're leaps and bounds ahead of most teams in CONCACAF. They have a different kind of style of play. They've met European teams and South American teams a lot in World Cups. In 2006, Argentina beat them, and they only did that in extra time with a Maxi Rodriguez goal, and that was a moment of brilliance. So Brazil versus Mexico. If Mexico show up on the day, it's going to be a pretty competitive game. But if Mexico continue the way they played in their last game and their game before, it's going to be a little easy for Brazil.
What about Neymar though? I don't think you may not like Neymar, but he is a talented player. Do you think
Very.
we've seen the best of him so far?
No, of course not.
Aside from the
The-
mysterious falling.
Have you seen the GOAT meme with Neymar?
Yes, I did. I saw a lot of memes. I love to share them. They're funny.
Neymar is a talented player, but he needs to focus a little more on his talent and focusing on the game as opposed to using trickery. I don't like trickery at all on the field. It kills the spirit of the game, but that's just for me to say and for him to do whatever. He's a million times more talented than me any day, so he could talk. But the thing is, Neymar, we haven't seen close to the best of Neymar as yet, but I'm not too sure if we will. It all depends on if Brazil click as a team. If they do, Neymar will show up. I think Brazil, I was saying that yesterday too, I think Brazil has a long way to go before they show us their best. Firmino isn't starting, as you mentioned. They have a pretty good defense this time around. Last time when they got it 7-1 from Germany, it was
That was a side that was missing Thiago Silva. He was
Thiago Silva
suspended
was
for the
injured,
game.
and David
Luiz moved into central defense, did a
So,
horrible job. He,
exactly.
to me, is a player sometimes focused, sometimes not.
Well, he's not even in the squad this
He's
time.
not in the squad this time.
So, a lot of the players from last time, they're on the bench this time around. So, I saw Felipe Luis make but he didn't start, he came on for an injured defender yesterday. So, barring injuries, if Brazil continues, Brazil have a mentality, they have a pedigree in World Cups, they will intensify, I
And
think so.
I think, you know, at a certain point, sometimes you feel as if Brazil is just due the World Cup. You know, it's been a while since they won. You feel like if it's about time they get a next one, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think there was a period in between the 80s into the 90s where there was a drought and finally they won it in 94. Albeit a shootout in which Italy was at fault for losing it because, I mean,
But that's how it goes.
Roberto Baggio and that infamous missed penalty. But then they came back in 2002, lost the final in 98, came back in 2002, and it's been since then. You feel as if they should win a World Cup again because
And
it's
the trying to
about
have this
time.
say, but it's not.
You feel like if it's about time.
Well, it's about time, but then again, time it shouldn't be a dictator of if you should win a
No,
cup.
but
It should
that's just
also
the
be.
reputation that Brazil
But
has.
football back in the day, back in the 80s, isn't what it is now. Spain has won in 2010, and with everybody, we're not expected, but when Spain won, everybody was like, wow, yes. Netherlands were a finalist. Germany won last time around. Now, Germany started winning back in the 1970s or so. But Brazil, mind you, being the only team to appear in every single World Cup, they consistently are a big player in the game. But I don't think that should be, even though a lot of people are saying so. It's not due time. It's due time for who comes to the game on the day. And I honestly think that Belgium is going to click at the right time.
Okay, so just to explain why he's so confident in Belgium as well. You are the only Belgium fan I knew in Trinidad for the longest while. Until
clarify
I
with
saw
them.
Belgium doing good and all of a sudden we have Belgium fans on social
Well,
media.
clarify with them because I'm an Argentine supporter.
He's an Argentine
But
supporter,
I've
but
been
he
looking-
always sees Belgium as a dark horse in the race. Should
I
never be
love
counted out.
Belgium. I absolutely love Belgium.
He's an
Argentina.
Eden Hazard fan as well.
Yes, I
Fair
was
enough.
told. I was told by one of my female friends that Hazard puts the yum in Belgium.
No, he doesn't.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's not true.
But Belgium, I think, in the last World Cup, even though they call them the golden generation of Belgium, in the last World Cup they were okay, but they didn't gel as a team. And this time around, I see something happening. I could be wrong, but this is what I see.
And let's just discuss one other game. There's Sweden versus Switzerland. Sweden, a lot of
Very
people,
familiar.
given that they had to go to a playoff to get into the World Cup in the first place, they beat Italy to get into the World Cup. They're taking on a top 10 ranked team, but as we know in this World Cup, rank
That
means
doesn't matter,
nothing.
because-
it means absolutely
Well,
nothing.
in UEFA, remember, you have 13 teams qualifying. I'm not too sure if it's 12 plus Russia or 13 plus Russia, but I know it's normally 13 teams qualifying in UEFA. And the thing is, only group winners, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Group winners
there are
goes
9
through.
groups. So
Second place goes to a playoff
Right.
within
So-
the
so there are
within
9
that
groups.
division.
9 groups,
Yeah.
so 9 winners would qualify, and then you have 8 of those 9 groups with more teams. The 9th group would have less teams. So the 8 of those 9 groups, you would have the second place. So that's 8 teams playing each other. You have 4 winners, and 4 would join 9 to make 13. But that doesn't mean that's why you find every World Cup you always have a big name missing out. Netherlands missed out. Because of the group that they were in, and because it's so difficult. I'm not too sure who edged them to qualify, but that's why Italy missed out as well. They played against Sweden. Everybody expected Italy to come back from that 1-0 defeat in the first leg, if I'm not mistaken. They drew the second leg, and they were out. But Italy didn't play well. They didn't. They have good teams names, and they didn't play well. So all credit
That's
to Sweden.
outside the UEFA division.
Yes, and all credit to Sweden.
And well, Wales, I was actually hoping that Wales would have
I
qualified.
would hope so too, but
I mean, to
Gareth
have
Bale
Gareth Bale and well, Ben Davies for Spurs had a fan. He was on my fantasy football team.
Ramsey is
in
from
the
Wales
EPL.
as well.
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey.
So
They have a
but they're
talented
not there,
squad.
and we're down to the 16 teams now from 32. It's going to be pretty interesting because we have no Germany, we have no Italy from the onset, we have no Netherlands. I love Netherlands as well, but for some reason they just fall on the day. We have no teams like that. We have no African teams. A few years ago we had Ghana almost reaching the semis. Cameroon used to play well. Nigeria played well. Very well actually, but I was happy they didn't
it's
qualify.
unfortunate that Senegal just missed out on the
It's unfortunate that Nigeria
Yeah.
missed out as well because that Argentina
Yes.
group was so difficult, and Nigeria played well. But again, it's down to the top 2 teams in our group. So we're down to the what the World Cup format is calling the best 16 teams that remain.
Okay, so let me ask you something, Rodney. Before the World Cup started, who did you think would have made it to the final? What would your call for the final be?
Before teams were announced, World Cup started in the middle of June. Since end of April, I was looking to see teams and squads and to see how it was looking. I didn't expect much from my team Argentina because of the depth of the lack of depth of the team. I hope they do anyhow. For a final, I thought Germany and Belgium would have made it.
Well,
No, the thing is,
what is it now?
that is assuming that they don't meet up somewhere else during the knockout phases.
Well, they're not going to meet up in the knockout phases.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. Yes. So, how has your prediction changed after seeing the group matches, seeing how they've played against? I'm guessing some stronger opposition, some not so strong opposition. What's your call now?
It's pretty difficult to call now because of two things. One, we haven't seen much games. There are 3 games, but not every team has played the same team or used the same strategy for those 3 games. So I'm basing this on premises. Not premises, but a premise. I know, right? But it's based on a premise of what we could expect based on what we see. So Brazil, I think, will charge up a little bit. Belgium will continue to click. We haven't seen the best of Belgium yet. Belgium also in a pretty difficult group with England. Now they qualified with 2 games to spare, but they disposed of England with a B-side as well. Like I said, Brazil, Belgium, Portugal is a team to watch. Uruguay is also a team to watch.
No, just to go back to the point you know, it said Belgium disposed of England with a B team, but it was an England B team as well.
It was an England
So
B-side, but
the thing is, I was so looking forward to seeing a Belgian A team versus an England A team.
well, I was looking at that too. But just to be a devil's advocate, Belgium's B-side was more or less a B-side, apart from maybe the strike.
Who was on it? Oh,
Okay, look at it.
Yeah.
We had Courtois, who was the first team keeper. I thought Mignolet would have started, but he ain't game no how. So we have Courtois. Januzaj isn't a first team player. Carrasco didn't start. Vermaelen is not a first team. He's a little aging now, even though he can't even make Barcelona side right now.
has he made Barcelona side regularly since moving there?
Exactly, he hasn't. He used to play first team in Arsenal. Company didn't start. Hazard didn't play. De Bruyne didn't play. Lukaku didn't play. Batshuayi started. He's doing pretty well in is it Dortmund?
Yeah, Germany.
Right, in Germany. So Belgium has a talented B side, but with all due respect, it's not a first team. England, on the other hand, look at England's starting lineup. We have Vardy, who won the Golden Boot 2 years ago with Leicester. We have in the defense we have Cahill.
And Marcus Rashford.
We have Rashford, who starts for Man City sometimes, but he's a good player.
But they feel some younger players. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
He starts for Liverpool. He starts for Liverpool. Eric Dyer
started
starts
a few
for
games for
Tottenham.
Liverpool. He's not a regular starter for Liverpool.
No, he isn't. But
Right.
if there were no options, he would have been a shoe into that side. So I'm not saying England should play that as their first team, but if you look at that on paper without knowing who's missing, you would say, yeah, this is our first side.
Yeah, but considering the players that were left out, though, you have the likes of Harry Kane, who is a valid contender for Golden Boot this
So
time
that's my
around.
point. That's my point. If you didn't know who were left out and you look at England's
But
side,
do you think that a single player could make all the difference in a game?
Of
We've
course.
seen it with Thiago
of
Silva
course,
in that
because of
7-1.
Higuain, we lost the World Cup the last 2 years. Obviously.
Well,
He missed a sitter.
do you know I haven't seen the first half of that 2014 World Cup final yet? I was actually in a wedding on that day. My cousin was getting married. I missed the first half. Well, obviously, we made an effort to see the second half. Saw Germany when that's all I needed to see. I heard there was an offside goal. I heard
There was
certain
an
things about the game,
offside
but I still up to this day haven't had it.
There was
in
an
me to
offside
stream that
goal, and
first
I
half.
played for Chandu about 2 weeks ago. I played for you the replay of Higuain's miss, and her reaction was, oh my god, because it was that bizarre. And looking at that miss, the game may have changed. There was a lot of football to play afterwards, but that goal could have done something as opposed to not scoring it, which he did. And everybody was like,
Well, I mean, I don't want to be too critical of players, but I've seen Higuain play for Juventus this season. As he scored a couple goals in a particular match I watched, but for every goal he scored, he probably missed about 2 or 3.
well, that's the thing with Higuain. He's a good player, but he's not. I'm sorry to harp this one, but he's not an Aguero. I'm sorry. Look at Aguero's goal for Iceland.
Aguero's Aguero.
Aguero's Aguero.
Higuain.
And he creates chances. He gets something like Messi got.
He
Creates chances. And he did something now. Higuain, the only time I saw Higuain create something out of maybe nothing or a half chance was when he scored in 2014 against Netherlands, where he got the toe end of his foot kind of way and curled it. Sorry, not Netherlands, against Belgium, and he curled it around Courtois to score. Now, my point is, that goal in that final, which should have been, may not have won us the game. But if you're a striker and you're a world-class striker playing in a World Cup final, and you get a one-on-one with the keeper and it's up to you to score, at least go on target. You know, at least...
Everybody's peeping at our video.
Yeah, at least go on target. And I don't mean to stray, but he needed to do better. He needed to be dropped for that game because Argentina has too much talent to be harping on one player.
Well, he's on the team this year. Let's
You
hope
have
that
Dybala.
he makes amends to
Did you
that
see
particular
Did
game.
you see the game against Nigeria? He missed 2 sitters and he scored 0.
That's
I
how
hope he doesn't
football
understand English because he
is.
would
Did you
not
see the
like
game
me.
against Germany? They had 28 shots and they didn't score any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
But that's how football is. Sometimes you score, sometimes you don't.
And the
Sometimes
thing
you
is,
really don't. You
Higuain
miss clear chances.
Higuain
but-
was the second highest scorer in Serie A, behind Icardi. So Argentina have 2 of the best strikers in the Italian league, and one of them didn't even make it into the squad.
Now, normally the Italian league was a good benchmark, but I mean, I know there have been controversies that has lessened the standard there to a certain extent.
Well, somewhat, but I don't know what she's doing.
I'm
But-
handing the iPad over to our news manager, Amrit Maharaj. Okay, so I just want to mention there is the exciting possibility that the whole argument of the GOAT,
God.
Messi versus Ronaldo, could be answered in this World Cup because there's a possibility of Argentina and Portugal meeting in the quarterfinal.
Well, that doesn't mean much to me. It doesn't.
It means a lot to a lot of the football
But
fans,
a
apparently.
lot of people were saying that they said that if Portugal disposes of Uruguay and Argentina gets past France, which I don't know. I really hope for, but I don't know. If they do, it will be more Ronaldo versus Messi. But that's player against player. That's not team against team. It might be cool to see, but at the end of the day, that result is not going to mean anything to me.
No, but I think it could make a difference in the game in terms of I know how much pressure is always on those 2 particular players
Do you
when
really
they
think
play.
they care?
Imagine, well, they play in the.
I'm talking about the head-to-head between both of them. Do you think they really care?
I don't know, but of
But
course there's
they-
always the expectation
they
of
always
fantastic
care.
things.
They
I
care
think it
about-
means a lot to the fans. So
Well-
you can tell us who you think is the best and why. Just keep it clean because I mean we all have different opinions as to who the best player is. He doesn't
It's
have
me.
anybody. No, it
It's
isn't.
me. She said the best player is me.
No,
It's
I'm
true.
asking you, who
Thank
do
you.
you think the best player in the world is?
Oh.
Right now, if you had to pick a player.
They're 2 different players. Ronaldo and Messi are 2 different players.
No, I'm not talking
I-
between them. I'm talking in your opinion
Oh.
for out of any player there.
You're talking about the most informed player right now?
Yeah, who would you say is the best player right now?
I don't know. I really don't know. There are so many different styles of players. Harry Kane is doing well. Lukaku is in form. But Cristiano Ronaldo is also somewhat in form. I'm arguing his goals. He scored goals full
I
stop.
asked him for an impulsive answer. He's giving me a technical breakdown.
I can't give you an impulsive answer. I'm not impulsive when it comes to things like that. You need to analyze it.
And that's why his jokes always turn out that way. You think about the jokes too much.
She steals my jokes and
Yes.
tells you those jokes.
So that is all for now for Just Kicking It. Of course, we're going to have a 1-day hiatus because we do have a rest day tomorrow, but all the action begins again on Saturday, and we will keep you informed as to everything that's going on. And of course, we have a little something special planned for the final, and Ronnie will be a part of it. And hopefully he'll have something to cheer about on that day. Maybe it could be Argentina versus Belgium in the final. You never know.
No! That's my 2 favorite sides. Why you do me that?
Then we'll have to carry that game,
It
his,
doesn't matter.
his reaction to that game live, so we could see what goes on with Rodney when he is
That's
in a
like
situation
that's like
like
if you
that.
like dalpuri and
So,
curry chicken.
You
And
eat
like,
everything.
And
If
you
you
like
have
kalaloo and macaroni pie.
one is
It's
lunch,
like-
one is dinner. One is lunch, one is dinner.
But they're playing at the same time.
Have
Against
you
each
never
other.
eaten kalaloo with roti?
I've eaten everything with roti.
Well, right. We know that here at 103 FM because Rodney always comes up with the most amazing things to go with roti. But of course, it must have roti all the time. So that's it for Just Kicking It. Say bye. Tell everybody bye-bye. Bye.